Welcome to Blind Shovel, an arts and music podcast. Today I speak with illustrator Alison Dubois. Enjoy.
Hello?
Yo.
Hey, what's good?
Everything is good.
Really?
Yeah, everything.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear it.
What are you up to?
What am I up to? I don't know. I just got home a bit ago. I'm unemployed right now, so...
Why is that? Because the animation industry is falling apart?
Yeah, that could have a part of it. Or I just suck and no one wants to hire me anymore. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, you were... I'm looking at your Instagram. You were previously the art director for Tuca and Berti.
Correct.
Does that still exist?
No. That's why previously. We had 3 seasons. 3 short.
And how long ago was that?
I think season 3 ended last July. Yeah.
And so now what?
I've done some other art direction for projects, and I was working on a show right until the writer's strike, and then the writer struck, and we got canned. So, yeah.
And so what do you do during the day?
I do my own art. I've been focusing on a lifelong dream of doing endurance riding with my horse. So I've been doing that a lot during the day.
What is that? Endurance riding?
Endurance riding, yeah. So we do like distance. It's not really racing. I guess technically it's a race, but I'm not really competitive. So we do, technically endurance is anything over 50 mile ride. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, been doing that. We did our first 50 last month. We did really good.
What does that mean? The timing was good?
The timing, his like ability and like health, they have vet checks kind of throughout the ride. So they make sure the horse is, eating, drinking, not dehydrated, not lame, still has energy to keep going. Basically, if your horse is fit to continue, like can keep going, then you've finished the ride. So we did that, and yeah, I'm so proud.
And this was a lifelong dream.
Definitely horse ownership was a lifelong dream. I got into endurance maybe like 10 years ago. And then once I knew what endurance was, then that became the dream, to do it with my own horse. And yeah, I've been working on that for like the past 3 years.
And this horse is born in California?
I think he was born in Arkansas. He's a rescue, so his past is a little shady, but he has he's been registered, and the breeder was in Arkansas. And then he ended up in California through, I don't know. I think he got passed around through a couple of rescues, but I got him here in California. Yeah.
And this horse thing has been going on since you were very little?
Yeah, I started riding when I was 10, but as long as I can remember, I've loved horses, I guess. lifelong horse girl.
And did the art or the horses come first? In respect to your identity as a child.
I don't remember that far back. I would say probably hand in hand. I'm sure like the first thing I was drawing was horses. So, yeah.
And do you know, is that weird that you worked on Bojack Horseman?
It is a little weird. I mean,
that's pretty weird.
I got that job through Lisa Hannawalt, kind of. She got me like in for a test, and I know Lisa from horses, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But yeah, a little bizarre.
If I recall correctly, that was the first thing you worked on in animation?
2D animation, yeah. I worked on a stop motion project in San Francisco in like 2011. It was a Henry Selick stop motion project that never got released. That also got canned. But yeah, I was doing painting for that movie, which was so fun. So much work goes into those.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll have to check it out.
It was called oh my gosh, sorry.
Oh boy. Who's that?
3 dogs. We have
3 dogs in one?
Yeah, a 3-headed dog. She's just out.
Synchronized dog.
I'm gonna close. I don't know what to do actually, because if I close the door, she's still gonna bark.
We'll just have to live with it.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Sorry. No pop filter can take that. What were we talking about? Stop motion?
Yeah, what you worked on. I guess I never knew about that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was called Cinderbiter was the studio name. It was about 2 brothers. One brother had very long fingers, and he was good at doing shadow puppets, and honestly, I think that was all that was kind of established, which I think may be part of the reason why we never got to finish making the movie. There was like a lot of rewrites all the time, and I had been working there for a year. Yeah, it was a bummer though. It was a really, really beautiful film. And I mean, what we had shot was really cool. All the stuff we were working on was really gorgeous and interesting. And yeah, it was a bummer. I hate when I'm working on something that I really love and then no one gets to see it or we don't get to finish it. It's a bummer.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. It's one of the reasons I never even entertained working in animation. Yeah. It's just, it seems actually quite common what you're describing.
Yeah, I feel like more so now in like the past, 2 years. I've heard there's kind of like ebbs and flows in the industry, and I'm pretty new to it, so it seems like we're in one of the darker times, but yeah, it's frustrating.
And you went to school for animation or illustration? I don't recall.
Illustration.
And you naturally found your way into animation as an industry?
Kind of, yeah. I was doing some works at galleries when I graduated and I did a lot of like self-published comics and stuff, was going to a lot of comic fairs and trying to get into editorial illustration and never really managed to pull that off. And then when I moved to San Francisco, I found the painting gig through a friend who also went to RISD. She passed that along to me. And yeah, started working there, was there for a year. And then once that shuttered, a lot of people went down to LA. And I stayed in the Bay Area for a few years. I worked at like art school libraries and SF MoMA library and was doing some freelance stuff. And yeah, then once I moved down to LA, I got into TV animation.
Yeah, I recall now that you worked at that gallery that was kind of a store as well. What was it called?
Double Punch.
Oh, yeah, that certainly can't exist anymore, right?
You know what? I don't know. Let me look it up. Yeah, it closed in 2014.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, you were in some shows there.
Because of you, yes.
Yeah. What are you up
to? All sorts of things.
Are you still in New Jersey? New York? New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm in the dark in New Jersey.
Nice.
In a room. But I like to stay focused on the guests.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how dare you. So, this sounds kind of doom and gloom. So you're unemployed, but you're following a lifelong dream.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It is cool.
And your horse seems to be famous on Instagram in some way.
Yeah, we got some followers on Instagram.
And he makes what's going on there?
What do you mean?
He has a personality?
Oh yeah.
What's I don't really know horses. I respect horses, but I don't know them very well.
They're all different. I feel like a lot of people are kind of surprised. You like see them in the movies and they're just like, the characters just kind of ride them around and they're kind of portrayed as vehicles that just like whinny and just, do whatever their human tells you. But they're all, just like cats or dogs, they're all very different. He's very, he's very goofy. He's very clever. But he's also kind of introverted. The breed is known for being kind of hot, they call it, like kind of anxious and like worried. Horses in general are that, but this breed kind of more so. And he is that, but he like internalizes all that stress. So instead of like running around and like expressing himself that way, he'll just kind of like stand still and like hold it all in. Which I guess if you don't know about horses, you assume like he's just a chill dude, but he's really just internalizing all that stress. So, which is kind of what I do. So I've been working on both of us to like kind of co-regulate and express it in a a healthier way. All our anxieties.
I can only imagine how you're doing that. Are you just what is that? How do you
like? What are you imagining?
Like he's going full speed and you're just screaming. That's what I imagine.
No. What is it? It's like
how do you release? I might relate to this somewhat, so that's why I'm curious. I don't have a horse to guide me along the therapeutic path, though.
I think it's kind of the opposite. Like he gets anxious and he just kind of shuts down. Like he'll stop moving. So for me, I have to like acknowledge that he's feeling that way. So like, not like, if I want him to go forward and he's anxious, he like won't go forward. So I kind of acknowledge that he's feeling the anxiety by like stop asking him, kind of like give him a pat or like divert his attention and then ask again and kind of reward when he's moving, if that makes sense.
Sure.
It's oh my God, I could go on forever about this.
How long have you been in a relationship with this horse?
I got him 3.5 years ago. He was my COVID, like, a splurge, purchase.
You took all that tax. Well, they gave us money, right?
What, I get like $100? Yeah.
I don't know what a horse costs. I assume a lot more than that.
No, he was a rescue, so he wasn't expensive. But yeah, they're a little more than that. Yeah.
How many horses have you had relationships with before him?
Probably 1 or 2. I leased a horse for a while when I was in the Bay Area. But
that's weird.
Is it?
I don't know. It's just weird to think about leasing I'm not a leaser of animals. Actually, my cat is in the room here, but I know a horse is completely different. But I guess fostering is a form of leasing in a sense.
I guess lease is kind of the word they use in the horse world. But really, I had a friend who had a horse who needed the horse to be ridden more than she could ride. So I would go and ride her horse. I guess we just shared it. It wasn't like I was paying to ride it or something,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But,
so are you riding this horse most of the time? Trying to imagine your current unemployed state and the level of horsery going on.
Yeah, I go to the barn every day. We don't ride every day, but probably 3 to 4 times a week. We try and do like 15 to 25 miles every week.
When you're away from art or horses, which do you end up missing more?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I don't know. I think it's easier to get the art fix. So maybe horses.
Yeah. Because do you live near your horse?
I'm like 15 minutes away. Yeah.
Okay. So this is like a benefit. You still live in LA, right?
I'm in Orange County now, so a little further south.
Orange County.
Yeah, Laguna Beach, yeah.
And you were working from there while doing animation?
Yes, the first, I was in LA when I worked on Bojack, 3 seasons of Bojack, and the first 2 seasons of Tuca and Berti. And then one of those seasons was during COVID, so we were all working from home. And then I moved down here 2 years ago, and I've been doing, the first year I was here, I was working remotely on animation projects. And
so the majority of the portfolio is kind of based around this world of Horseman and Tuca and Berti, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but you feel pretty comfortable within that. Like it's a good fit, no? Stylistically.
I think so. Tuca and Berti was like a dream job, I think. I think Lisa and I have a lot of similar sensibilities, and I really love her work, so it was cool to be asked to art direct that project and have some freedom with that. It was very, very cool.
And how does it come that it gets canceled? I don't know anything about is this a viewership issue? Is this what's the deal? That's,
I don't even know if anyone other than the people who made the decision know. I think, first after season 1, we were on Netflix for season 1. After that season, we were canceled from Netflix. And then we ended up getting picked up by Adult Swim. I think really? Netflix said that it was a viewership issue. So we had 2 seasons with Adult Swim after that. And I think possibly the Warner Discovery merger kind of affected us getting renewed after season 3, but it's all speculation. You're not really.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
So it's kind of like, internally speaking, you're just humming along and then suddenly the thing stops happening? Or is there a clear, this is a cheesy way to put it in this context, a canary in the coal mine?
I don't think there is. We were working on the season. We hit season 3. We hit every deadline. From what we had heard from the network, they really loved what we had made. It gets released, and then you kind of wait to hear if you've been picked up for another season, and then you just never hear. So, kind of,
So there's some weird emotional components to working at an animation studio, it sounds like.
Yeah, a few.
And by that, I mean, it doesn't seem like you have a lot of clarity into the decision-making at any level.
Yeah. I mean, it's a business. I don't think they want everyone knowing every decision.
Sure.
But yeah, it's a little frustrating. But I still, I'll work on another show. I love working in animation. Even though
Why do you think that is? What does it allow you to do that, say, well, editorial or comics, these things don't provide?
I like working collaboratively. I don't think I used to, but now that I've been doing it so much, I really like it. I like having an idea of something and handing it off to someone who I trust and them returning it like better than I anticipated it, or like giving it their own personal spin. That's always really cool. I feel like, I don't know, like when I do comics, a lot of them are autobiographical, which can be fun and, it's a way to express myself, but I like helping to tell other people's stories. Like I like kind of having an assignment, which is also why I liked editorial, like having an assignment and like me just kind of giving it my own spin instead of having to come up with the idea and like doing all those stages, just being kind of given the idea and then being able to do the design part, which I think is the most fun, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it took you time to understand that you liked working on a team?
Yeah. I'm an only child. I think I have some control issues. So the first season of Tuca and Berti, it was my first time art directing. I was still fairly new to animation. I think I was a little overbearing and a little controlling, which bums me out looking back. But
on the first season, how would that manifest that control?
Well, part of it is also, you're developing the look of an entire series. So you need like a clear vision. Also, I was just so excited to be doing this job and like working on such a fun project. I like wanted to do everything. So, you have a background team and a character team and a props team, but I would still be like doing initial sketches for like every character and then like, doing color keys for every background. I was just so excited and I was doing too much. You have to like trust your team to do their job and you're there to guide them, but you're not there to do everything. That's not the job as an art director.
So what is the job? Because I think sometimes it's confusing for people who've never done it. And also I think being an art director, there's probably instances where it is quite different, just like being the director of a film can vary. So in respect to what you were doing, was it primarily developing the visual language with Lisa, or was it?
Yes, there was some like production design aspects. Like Lisa would still do initial sketches for some characters. She had like a very distinct idea for, or I would do, rough sketches for key environments and characters. We work a lot with the episode directors as well, get their ideas of, what they have in mind for an environment or, a character. Also leaving some stuff for the storyboarders to come up with, what kind of character works well for what gag. Like this character needs to have a long neck because it, ties its neck into a knot. Like if I had drawn the character before they got to boards, that might not have necessarily happened, so just allowing everyone to kind of put their own ideas and self into the project. And as art director, just kind of answering questions and like giving reference and ideas, but also making sure everything works together. Like a character's color on a background, they're not going to like disappear into the background, or lighting keys, making sure everything fits together. Because I think a lot of times, a background can look beautiful, but it might not necessarily work with other, like a prop or a character. Everything has to work together. So that's the main job I think I did as art director, seeing the overall picture.
And so I assume with any collaboration, you learn what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yes.
So what do you think in the end, after doing 3 seasons of that show, are your strengths?
Oof.
This is like a job interview.
Oh boy. Yeah. This is already stressful. Now it's like doubly so. I think I have gotten good at choosing and trusting my design teams and kind of assigning based on their strengths. I think I also am good at thinking kind of outside the box. Like we had really tight constraints with budget and timeline. And I think we developed kind of ways to make the show that were less time consuming or more cost effective, but also kind of amplified the message of the story, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of easy to get stuck once you have the kind of look of the show to just keep doing that. But I think in Tuca and Berti, we worked outside of that a lot in every episode, which was fun and produced something pretty unique, I think.
It seems like it. I mean, I've never seen the show, but looking at the stills on your website, it looks like there was a lot of interesting, looks like some stop motion, but also some backgrounds that are just like textured more than drawn.
Yeah, we had a whole episode where one of the main characters kind of lives in this night world, like she's kind of turned nocturnal. So there's a story with one of the main characters, and then we kind of switch into this B story where she's walking around at night, and like every environment was something new. So in order to pull that off, we just kind of did inverted line work on really dark backgrounds, so we wouldn't have to worry about, coloring every new background.
Right.
But it also created like this cool, I don't know, like feeling for that part of the episode. And I think that was one of our most successful episodes, which was cool. So it was like we had this. Oh, go ahead.
No, there was a thing in my throat. So is that like an idea you had come up with? I've never worked in this environment, so I'm kind of curious how, I don't know if ideas can be so clearly allocated to an individual, but in that instance, would that have been your idea that was implemented?
Yeah. I mean, we have every episode, we get the script, and then we have, we call it a pre-thumb meeting. So it's the episode director, the art director, the supervising director who oversees, the entire series, and then the producers. We all have a meeting together where we're trying to discuss, the scope of the episode, any like special or stylized sequences, like that stop motion stuff you were talking about, anything that Lisa has like a very specific vision for. We'll talk about that together. And then in this instance for this episode, it was like, we've calculated how many new, like given the script, we made a breakdown, and, there's going to be like 40 new backgrounds that needed to be drawn, but we only have the time and money to do 20. So like, how can we make this possible? So part of it is, the episode director being like, oh, we can probably combine these two backgrounds, but that wasn't enough. So I did some like previs development for that episode where I was just like, yeah, we can just not do color for these new backgrounds if we design them this way. And yeah.
Right. So just working within the constraints.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sucks that ended. It seems like a pretty wonderful job.
It was the best. I miss it. I think about it a lot. I think everyone who worked on that show kind of misses working on it. It was really fun.
And it's certainly dead. It's not potentially resurrected.
I think the last I heard from Lisa also is that she's kind of putting it to rest for a while. I think for her especially, it was very emotional and I think somewhat traumatic. So just giving it some time. Maybe it's not over, but I think in this capacity for a bit, well, we're done with it.
And can you imagine your next job?
I have some prospects. I mean, I would love to keep art directing on a show that's, appeals to my sensibilities and is smart and has a good team. And I don't want to just work on, I would really love to work on a children's show, honestly.
And that show is not for children, right?
Yeah, I would say, thoroughly adult content.
And the same would be true for Bojack.
Yeah, I would say more so for Bojack.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty adult themes in both of those, yeah.
So ideally a kid show, art directing a kid show.
Yeah. Out of the animation that's coming out now, I think I'm most attracted to kid shows, which is interesting. I also love children's books. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I mean,
for books,
it makes
I think
sense.
I know what it is, but did I hear you were also, I was listening to one of your other interviews, interested in doing a kid's book?
That's true, yes.
Is that because it's, I don't know, more similar to a comic book than...
There's certainly that component, right? The interplay of text and images. Mm-hmm. There's also the fact that I have a stepdaughter, and there's something, I mean, it's been said before, but children are obviously very open to ridiculous ideas. Mm-hmm. And it's also a very formative time. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a real challenge there in respect to, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's that, like, you could maybe catch them before they're flooded with an infinite amount of stimuli by the time they reach like 10 years old, mm-hmm. before the internet crushes their like ability to just like remember a single thing they've seen or read in an impactful way.
I think that's earlier than 10 now.
I know. I don't want to get into that whole thing, but there's a lot of things that appeal about a kid's book. I also see that market or that field as, and I could be wrong because I don't read them all the time, just like kind of boring. And I look back to the kids' books that I read, and there were some real weird ones. And then I think about Matt Fury's kids' book, and just like those kind of outliers that give kids a little more credit and are maybe more willing to scare kids a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's something appealing about that. Also, if I'm being frank, just like they seem quicker most of the time than making a big comic book. Mm-hmm. I know that, like, I interviewed Matthew Forsyth, and he takes quite a bit of time, obviously, because he makes very beautiful paintings. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think there's something very appealing. And if I ever had a kid of my own, my idea was always to make them a kid's book every year of their life. So they would have like some weird memento on their birthday. And maybe even it would be about them and something that they do wrong or right. And then, when they're 18, they would have this weird catalog of growing up. So I think more and more I try to, like, I know I'm probably going to make something weird, but I'm attracted to mediums that force me to marry that weirdness with something a little more acceptable. Maybe less vulgar. So, I think hanging around kids when they draw is also super fun. And you get to kind of see into one, just like the complete disregard they have for the actual material and the paper when they're done. You know what I mean? Like oftentimes they're just like crumpling it or throwing it. It could be a great drawing, and it's definitely just about drawing.
Yeah.
And the power to basically control the rectangle, but also develop a language before you can write. And I often do find that people who drew when they were young they have a very different relationship to art as opposed to people who started to maybe connect with art intellectually in high school or something. And the drawers have a very specific hang up and baggage, for better or for worse, that I have always admired. And it could be, like you said, about being a control freak. I think there's absolutely that aspect. Like, if the world is chaotic, which is pretty much guaranteed to be around you, being able to draw in just this controlled frame is very appealing. So all that to say, I just think children are fascinating. And I don't know, there's this mundane quality to adults to me at the moment where they take things so seriously, but in the wrong way often. And I just like the idea of being able to escape that.
I get that, yeah. I also I think you asked what my dream job would be, but I think I want to get into books again also, like artist books. And I kind of started in that realm, and there's like a, I don't know, like a tactileness, and also they feel, I don't know, not more personal, but it's like an experience you feel like you're kind of having directly with the artist when you're kind of like, that's why I like children's books, because they play a lot with, or the ones I'm interested in, kind of play with like the form of the book itself. It's a little more interactive and engaging, and you can like hold it right up to your face. It feels very personal. And does that make sense?
Well, are you talking about the ones that are all like crinkly and have texture, and then they can like there's early kids books that are insane where there's mirrors and that's a whole nother, and then they're like soft pages so that they can't rip them. Now that you're talking,
like that, yeah, like board books. There's like pop-up books. There's, I don't know. I'm looking at my.
I think pop-up books would be. You should do some pop-up books.
I would love to.
Or the ones that have the pull tab. Oh, those are wonderful.
There's another one I'm thinking. I can't remember the title, but it has like holes through all the page. Oh, I don't know. There's so many good ones. Oh, it's called The Hole.
Oh, well, I don't know what that is.
It's not vulgar, I promise. Yeah, there's another one I really like. I saw it at an art book fair in the Bay Area. It was all quilted. Like, it started as an artist book, but then they published it as like a paper children's book. That was really cool.
Yeah, I can only imagine that, again, the children of the future will just be like bombarded with infinite AI-generated imagery that's constantly changing and stimulating. And to be able to make a thing that's more permanent and feels real is going to become more and more appealing, I hope. I could be naive, but
yeah, I hope so too.
I just can't even imagine people staying on the internet 2 years from now and trying to tell me that what they're seeing is actually real in respect to anything.
Yeah.
In respect to people who follow you or comment or news or this fake horse account that you made.
My bullshit horse.
So yeah. I hope that, and I know that's not going to happen. I feel that there's going to be like two really different groups of people who are just like all in and don't even know what a horse is. And then people who, I don't know, they want to go rural and just die, just actually.
No,
but I mean, like, because I'm imagining the other people are trying to like be immortal. Yeah. I think I'm pretty cool with the former or the latter, whichever I said. I just mean like dying and
eventually. Yeah.
And like, just, I was talking to Neve about it, like, just, I want to be able to prove to my grandkids, like, I want to stop drawing on the tablet because they're just going to be like, you didn't draw that stuff in 2023. That was all, that was AI generated. And I'll be like, yeah, well, you know what? Actually, all I have is digital files, so I can't really refute that. So I want to have crumbling, yellowing pages of books when I'm 80, you know? And I want to be like thought of as something novel because of that.
That's interesting. So
well, can you imagine?
Well, I'm interested because, I don't know. I like drawing and doing tactile stuff just because I like the act of doing it. Like once I'm done, I don't care if, someone sees it or even if I like show it to someone.
Oh, really?
But
no,
yeah.
I as much as when I make a book, it's very much about me and my sensibilities. I definitely feel that I can't understand if it's objectively something good or bad or this or that without at least my peers seeing it and being like, oh, this is on the right track or something. Where I mean, I'm not talking about, frankly, Insta or like any social media is composed of mostly people you don't know, saying if your thing is good or bad. So I'm not terribly concerned with that, but it does matter to me that, my peers and I feel on the same page in respect, I suppose. But also, I think there's something really romantic about yellowing paper, and I do like the idea of, I don't know, when you find like a grandparent's, their stuff, and even when it's not weird art books, there's some magic to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to get more and more magical because it'll be uncommon.
So you have a stepdaughter now?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you interested in having additional children?
It sounds like a survey or something, or I'm ordering from.
Could I interest
Seamless.
you in more?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I've become increasingly human over the past decade.
Oh, what's happening to you, Michael?
Oh, it's very strange.
Did it?
What
You
happened?
think it's since you moved?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
The West Coast?
Yeah, it was. I had to get out of that place. Well, I mean, unjokingly, it's somewhat related to that. No, I also think I don't like to be mechanistic about describing maturity, but I definitely think there's something to be said for, especially with artists. Like, I talk to a lot of them, and in their 20s, I think a lot of them are just subhuman. Like, they don't really develop at the same rate as like a normal person, and at least for me, I could get lost in the practice and not really have emotions. But then for whatever reason, many reasons, I think, like I could, I'd like see a commercial when I'm in my 30s and it could make me cry for like a solitary tear, a manly tear.
Oh, just one?
Yeah, just one.
For the podcast, we'll say one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once a year. Or even
The
like
Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah, those get me.
Yeah.
I was welling up with emotion at the beginning of the new Miyazaki film because I just thought, I will never get to see a new Miyazaki again, fresh, And so, I don't know, I do think it's an active thing you have to do, right? Like I guess I could have stayed in a hole and just kept drawing comics, and I probably would be stuck in that place I was stuck back then. But collaboration also, I think, is a big part of it. All these steps that, again, I think sometimes when artists talk, they sound ridiculous because they don't recognize like some real obvious things that like, working in a team is healthy, or, having a social interaction can benefit your your mental health. But I think collaboration for me, whether with Neve or Jesse or just anything related to understanding someone else's language, really opens you up again to your strengths and weaknesses and to being more graceful about disagreements. Of course, there's times where you do feel you have to anchor down and you stand by that one aesthetic decision. But all these things break you down or open you up in a way that lead to the path of actually being somewhat normal. And I also just wanted to reject the idea that I was a freak in some way. Although I was more freakish then, I think that sometimes that can be self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, you limit yourself. I don't know, there's something weird, right? Like if you learn to draw real young, sometimes I feel like going back to that place with a certain mentality is like a regression. So I think there's a mature way to do it, and I hope I'm doing it now. But yeah, I think it's great that you worked on a show that you feel connected to, because I don't know if you can exceed that with a solitary project.
Yeah.
But I think it's rare what you experience too, because I think a lot of people work on horrible cartoons, or at the very least cartoons they don't connect with. And that's just part of the industry and the job. So being able to grow while doing a job, I think, is quite rare, actually.
Maybe that's one of my strengths then, because I think I've also worked on some projects that I'm less connected to, but I find a way to make it fun and interesting for myself. And I think that ultimately comes across with the final result and makes it maybe more appealing for people who maybe the content, doesn't interest, but there's something there I hope in the design that's, appealing and interesting. And yeah.
Do you think fun and art, do you think it's important to have fun when you make art? This is a tough one.
I do. I think one of the reasons I make art is because I have fun doing it. And if I'm not, I don't want to do it. I don't know. I think a lot of artists have, maybe not a lot, but I know some artists, like, it's like I have to do it every day because, I'm an artist, and if I don't, I'm not doing my job as an artist. But I've never really felt that. Like if I'm kind of stuck or burnt out, or unemployed, I'll go do something else for a couple months and then come back to it when it's interesting and fun again. I don't know. I don't like pushing through just because I feel obligated to.
Right. You don't have the compulsion to do it.
Yeah. It's a fun thing for me.
But at the same token, can you imagine not doing it? In a sense of, could you be okay not doing it? Could you be happy not doing it?
No, just I think I could be okay not drawing again if I could, do embroidery or whittling or, some kind of art. I don't think the medium is important, but yeah, I don't think I would be happy never doing it again. Yeah.
It's the generative thing that matters. But you also cook, right? If I recall correctly.
I cook, I bake, yeah.
But these are different, what would you say, needs?
I don't know. I think they're similar. You're making something. You have the ingredients or the medium, and then you're combining them, and maybe they're a little less, I don't know. Generally, I'm following a vague recipe, so they're a little more systematic than sitting down to a white sheet of paper and drawing whatever I want. But I think ultimately they're kind of fulfilling the same need. Yeah.
Yeah. Cooking might be the ultimate form. of creation.
Yeah. And then you get to eat it. And I love eating.
Other people get to eat it too.
Oh,
and then they live.
If I let them.
Then they don't die.
I mean, hopefully, yeah.
So that's that's interesting. I do think, everyone has a different relationship to making work. I personally feel sometimes that, and I don't know why, but the more I suffer, the better the drawing or the book can be. But as I get older, and I don't know if it's a good thing, I definitely am, I like the things I make more, and I don't know. It's almost concerning to me.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I don't know if there's some weird sacrifice innate to making art where, you know what I mean? Like something has to be brought to the altar of the viewer, to the gods, and like that suffering is a reflection of that. And when you're having fun, it's more about you in a sense and the enjoyment of making. I haven't figured that out quite yet. But I can say that, and I think this is common with people who draw, that usually in the first decade after school, it's kind of grueling and uncomfortable when and stressful. You're trying to understand your own language, and then you develop that. And I suppose the new set of problems is like, how do you keep it fresh? I don't know if you relate to this notion.
I do, but I don't know. I think because I kind of dabble in a lot of different forms of art, maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like I'm trying to, how do I say this? I don't know. I feel like maybe if I was focused in one medium, I would feel that more, because you're kind of seeing, it's like more of a linear progression you can kind of look back on. But I don't know.
No, it makes sense. There's a more of a varied approach to your work.
Yeah. And I don't know if I have some like ultimate goal I'm, striving towards. I think it's more, I don't know. It's not as, I don't know what I'm trying to get at here.
I understand. We all understand. All the listeners understand.
Thank you, listeners.
And there's a lot. There's really a lot.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. No.
There's my mom. I know she'll probably listen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Your horse?
Oh, he'll listen.
What's his name again?
Kirby.
Interesting. Do you have an idea for a cartoon? Do you want to create a cartoon? Do you think it's stressful? Do you envy the creator of a cartoon?
I have an idea for a short that I've had for a long time.
You want to put it out there so somebody steals it?
Nope.
Okay.
Mom, you can't have this one. I don't know. I don't think I want to be I don't have an idea for a show or a movie or anything. So no.
You're just saying that so
no one don't have to talk about it.
No one steals it?
No, I don't. Again, like I like having kind of an assignment and constraints and being able to work within that. I think having something so open-ended is kind of intimidating to me. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything other than the little short.
But it would probably involve animals if you did, right?
Yeah, I would say probably.
Because
the short does.
I mean, you like animals.
I do. How did you know?
Well,
you did your research.
Yeah,
Michael.
I do a lot of research. You got 3 dogs, a horse.
Yeah.
You've worked on a show about a horse and a bunch of birds. They're all birds, right? And yeah. Did you have like a weird cat in the Bay Area? Am I misremembering this?
I had a rabbit, which is kind of like.
Oh yeah. That's. I mixed them up a lot. Oh yeah, I remember that damn thing in that crazy room.
Yeah, yeah.
How's he doing?
He's she has since passed on. She lived to be, I think, about 12. She was such a weird little rabbit. Actually, when I got my dog, the dog and the rabbit didn't get along too well. So I found a neighbor. She was like a teenage girl in my neighborhood who had 2 other rabbits, and she took my rabbit in for the last 2 years of her life, and sent me updates, and it was very nice. But she's no longer with us. My weird little cat.
And tell me about these 3 dogs.
I have Lucy, who's the first dog I adopted 6 years ago or so. And I also live with Doc, who's my boyfriend's dog. And then we adopted Cowgirl about 8 months ago. She was a foster fail. They're all very different, but very, very sweet. I love them all. You have a cat? You used to have a cat.
My cat is called Ego, and he is he's brilliant. He's unbelievable.
What's his?
He's just so fantastic. It's just shocking to me how wonderful he is. He's just, I don't know.
Does he solve riddles? What does he do?
No, he makes them.
Oh, that's
which is far more impressive.
Does he do the crossword?
Oh, no, of course not.
No
self-respecting creature.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, he's indoor, outdoor, no litter box. He chooses to live with us. He's doggish in his affection.
Oh, those are the best.
Which is the greatest form of cat.
Agreed.
He understands boundaries in the strangest intellectual way I've ever seen in a cat. He sits next to me when I eat dinner like he's a guard, and he won't go on the table. It's very...
Just on the floor next to you?
No, like on almost like a throne. I eat dinner on a throne.
Oh, and he's like on the arm of the throne next to you?
It's like a wide throne, like a bench throne.
Gotcha.
Hard to explain.
Doesn't sound like a throne.
No. And no, I'm shocked by his, and this isn't true for all cats. I've had many, but I had Oof before, wonderful cat, unbelievable cat.
Beautiful cat.
Probably still alive somehow. He's probably like 20 years old.
Wow.
And beautiful. No, I don't know if he's alive. He lives in Marin County. He really went up the ladder, from Oakland to Marin, living in like vineyards. This guy. Beautiful.
Good for him.
No, but I too am shocked by the beauty of animals. And I've once ridden a horse.
How'd that go? Everyone has an interesting story.
Cool. I mean, I respect a powerful creature that will get afraid of like a insect. They're so weird, especially when you just start looking at them. Like, when you look at your hand and you can kind of start like disassociating.
Oh yeah.
Not in like a stupid druggy way.
Yeah, I get it.
But you look at a horse and you're just like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And why is it so strong? And then its legs are that, and
they're truly... Like, they should not be alive the way their bodies are constructed. It doesn't make any sense. The way their stomachs are, the way their little feet and legs are, they just shouldn't be. So they're nature's marvel.
Do you think all animals have the same personality spectrums? Meaning like, Well, like, I mean, I think like a snake doesn't have that, let's say mammals. Do you think there's more complexity in the personality of a horse than a dog?
I don't know about more. I'd say equal. And I wonder if it also has to do with whether they're prey animals or kind of hunter animals. Like, I think cats and dogs probably have more similar general personalities than probably horses, because horses are prey animals. But yeah,
What do they eat dogs, horses?
horses eat dogs. Oh, you really don't know anything about horses.
No, I thought they ate dogs.
No, they eat mostly grass.
Are you saying you think predators are more complicated?
No, not more complicated, but I would guess that maybe their personalities are like predator animals' personalities are more similar within like that group, and then maybe prey animals' personalities are more similar within that group.
And do you own a cat or no?
No cat yet. I have a list of animals on the fridge that my boyfriend and I have agreed to in the near future.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's weird. I think he's afraid that I will just start hoarding animals, which I don't want to do, but we've agreed upon a list. And cats are on the list.
What's like the most surprising animal on there?
An emu. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really good. They're really good offering protection to other animals. Like if you have chickens, they'll kind of ward off coyotes and stuff. They're like tough birds.
And where you live, this can all happen?
No, this is future. So when, we plan eventually to move to some space with land and have a mini farm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'm one of those go rural and eventually die type of people.
Yes, but will your paper be yellowed?
It will be yellowed.
Actually, you draw on a tablet, right? I assume just like all animators, you kind of have to, right?
For work, yeah. But
Yeah.
Personal stuff I still do by hand.
It feels better, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. I like being able to touch it and move it around and put it away and then pull it back out and yeah.
Spill water on it, have
Always.
flood damage.
Yep.
Things
Coffee.
like this.
Yes. Have a dog eat it. That's fine. It is the way.
So, you need work. And if anyone's listening.
Yeah, Mom, get me a job, please.
Mom.
Yeah, have me do a children's book or art direct your next animated television show or anything. Draw your critter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we covered it all.
I love it. In an hour.
Succinct.
Perfect.
Inspiring.
Not too rambling.
No.
I was so nervous, but this was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, good talking to you. You have a joke for the people before we go?
Oh.
This always puts people in a tough spot.
Do you end every episode with this?
Oh, I used to, and then I got demoralized because like people just the world is running out of jokes. But let's do this.
Okay.
I forgot. I think this will make you feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
What is an episode of Tuca and Berti that best reflects who you are as a person?
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Did you just fall?
You moved my arm and I knocked something off the desk.
Well, the reason I ask is like sometimes I have people who don't make as much like personal work or fine art. Mm-hmm. Like they're more, working with a team. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting for the listener to get the essence of someone via like an episode of a show you've art directed or a book, something that, or even Bojack Horseman. or hell, what's the best damn episode of the show?
I really love, in the last season, episode 6. It's called Screech Leeches. And Bertie kind of goes back into her past in high school. And we're kind of revisiting a relationship she had in high school. And I was really proud of what we did with the design team in that episode. And also, I think it's really funny. And if you haven't seen the show, maybe, I don't know, start with that one, but that's a really good one to watch, I think.
Okay, Screech Leeches.
Mm-hmm. Season 3, episode 6.
So for the time being, this is the pinnacle in some ways. Like in terms of your pride about art making, would you feel that about this episode?
I think so. It's different. It's a different approach than a lot of the episodes, but in a way that I think benefits the episode, which is what I was trying to do throughout the whole show. And this is the one that came to mind first. I'm sure the second I hang up, I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said
it's okay.
One, but that's what I'm going with.
Perfect. And then your horse's Instagram?
Yeah. Follow and subscribe. Follow Kirby.
Follow Kirby.
Follow Kirby. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see you when I see you.
Sounds good.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Music by Dory Bavarsky and Mingja Chen. Next up, we have Brian Durr. Have a good week.